Felicity Yarn Studio podcast. My name is Zoe. I'm your host. This is my little podcast about knitting, the fiber arts, and any other sort of crafty venture that I like to get into. So if this is your first time here, a big welcome and thank you for checking out the podcast. And of course, a big welcome back to all of my returning viewers. If you would like to find me on social media, I am at Zoe Nichols, that's KNITCHOLS on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can find my hand-dyed yarn on Etsy, and that is also under Felicity Yarn Studio. So how's everyone doing? Hope that you all are healthy and safe and have plenty of toilet paper. I am doing pretty good here. Jason went back to work last week, even though our state hasn't opened up just yet. Anyway, I won't get into all those details. So I guess the first thing that I wanted to talk about up front is what I am wearing, and this is my parachute. This is a pattern by Stephen West or West Knits, and I knit mine out of primrose yarn in the Adelaide base. This is the Neon Vacation colorway. And the accent color on the trim is from Koigu. I don't remember what the colorway is because they just use a number system, but you will find all of my show notes in the description box down below, and I like to leave as many links as possible to either vendors or my Ravelry project page, where I try to keep things as up to date as possible. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment box down below. So yes, I've spoken about this on one of my first episodes. It's kind of a bizarre garment, especially when it's made out of wool. It's very warm, even though it's kind of light and open and airy, which today is like mid 60s and kind of overcast. So I figured it'd be a good time to try to get some wear out of this because I don't get as much wear as I would like to out of this garment. Yeah, other than that, it was a really fun knit, just a lot of garter stitch. And the only other kind of thing that I wanted to mention up front is the only reason that I haven't been outside recording here lately on the porch, my little spot, is that there is construction work going on across the street from us. There's a new house going up, so that's great for our neighborhood and for, you know, property values and whatnot, but it's kind of annoying that my space out there, I can't sit out there and record because there's usually a lot of banging and whatnot going on. So that's a first world problem to have, but anyway. Why don't we dive into what I've been working on? So I do have a finished object or two. I just don't have them here to show you guys, so I'll pop a picture on the screen. Like I said, Jason went back to work last week, and they are required to wear masks as part of being back at work. And he had mentioned that the elastic was kind of irritating his ears, so I made some of the ear savers for him, and I used the Mask Mates ear saver pattern by Sarah Burns or Brenz. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce her name. And that was just like the first free pattern that popped up on Ravelry when I searched for ear savers. She does have written instructions, but she also has a YouTube tutorial video, and I just followed that, and it was super simple. And I made a couple for his coworkers as well. So other than having to go on a hunt for actual matching buttons, yeah, no complaints. I am just surprised that out of my like full bead organizer full of buttons that I didn't have more matching ones. So anybody who still wants one, they have their choice of either like lime, yellow, green, or lavender. Fair warning. And that is it for finished objects. I have a couple of whips, works in progress, that I've been working on. And two of them are living in my fringe field supply bag. So the first one is a new cast on, and this is a Sockhead hat that is by McClure. And I feel like everybody and their brother has knit this pattern except for me. This is my first Sockhead. So I am knitting mine out of some yarn that was sent to me by Susie of the Elderflower Stitches podcast. This is Dandelion and Dogwood yarn in the Frenemies colorway. And as you can see, it's a lovely tonal peach with these nice gray speckles. And there's also some speckles that are kind of a like reddish brown color. I don't know how to describe it other than it reminds me of like a bronzer that you are, not a blush, more of, I guess it is bronzer, the makeup that you would use kind of for like contouring. I don't get that advanced with my makeup. But anyway, I did make one minor modification here. I opted to do a 1x1 twisted rib instead of the 2x2 just plain traditional rib that the pattern calls for. I did only twist my knit stitches and not my purl stitches as well. So it didn't occur to me until I was most of the way through the brim that if I pop it up, I'm not going to see the twisted knit stitches anymore. But that's not the end of the world. I still just think that 1x1 rib just has a nicer look than the 2x2, kind of a nicer finished look. So yeah, if this was a traditional like beanie hat, I would probably go ahead and start the crown decreases, but I am going to go ahead and make mine fairly slouchy. I've knit about 4 inches of the hat part head. I don't know. So I probably got about 4 more inches to get that nice and slouchy. And I'm sure that I will opt for a faux fur pom-pom because I like pom-poms on my hat. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this is coming along. I just wanted something that was a little bit mindless, a little bit vanilla. I mentioned on my last podcast how I didn't really have a ton of brain space for anything too intricate. Even like mid-level intricate was too much and is still kind of too much for me right now. So I was kind of feeling like I lost my knitting mojo, and for me, what I like to do is go into my stash and find kind of the most special, the most pretty skein that I have and cast something on that, you know, is a little bit of instant gratification, but also is just a really beautiful yarn because I always feel inspired by really pretty yarn. So while I do hoard some yarn, no skein is too precious for me. I will cast on with kind of that special yarn just to get myself back into the groove because you know what? Life is short. Knit with the pretty yarn. You can't take it with you, so that's my philosophy. All right, next I have in the same bag my Luminary Socks. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart. It is part of the Handmade Sock Society, and this was the first pattern that got released like 2.5 months ago. Let me see if I can get this on here to show you a little bit better. I am using Farmer's Daughter fiber in the Eagle Eye colorway. I don't remember the name of the base, but it is her 100% superwash merino base. So it doesn't have any nylon, so it'll be interesting to see how this wears. But on the last time you guys saw these, this is where I was with this stitch marker from Hannah of the Corner of Craft. So I've gotten about 2 inches done and I finished up all of my gusset decreases. I don't know if it's just because I hadn't done a top-down heel flap and gusset in a while or what, but these gusset decreases just seem like they drug on forever. And this isn't really a super complicated pattern. It is a 12-row repeat, and it's pretty easy to memorize, but I don't know. I don't know if it's because she's provided a row by row tick off chart, if I feel like I have to keep ticking them off or what, but I cannot for the life of me remember which order the decreases go in for this little like lace panel along the edge. So I think that's part of why it's taking me so long to finish these, is they feel a little bit tedious, but I only have about 2 inches of the foot left to do before I get to the toe. So I think that's about 2 repeats of the 12-row pattern. My only other concern with these is this is how much yarn I have left, and we'll see. It might be a game of yarn chicken. If I do feel like I'm not going to have enough to do the toes, I have a contrast color in mind for the toes, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm really ready to have these done and have my needles back so I can cast on just some vanilla socks, because I feel like knitting vanilla everything right now. So the last kind of yarny thing that I have been working on is my semi-precious granny stripe blanket. And the last time that I showed you guys this, I was still getting the last of the like length of the blanket done. So I was right here. So I have knit, or I crocheted all the way up to where this green stripe is. And then once I got to that part, I just started doing a single crochet all the way around with what was left of each of the 12 colors. So I'm using 12 colors from Madelinetosh. These were a 2017 subscription club collection from Madelinetosh that was done for Jimmy Bean's wool. So it was called the Semi-Precious Collection. So they're all based off of stones. And I had about 16 to 18 grams of each color left that I put into this giant cake. And I have about 120 left now to crochet through on the edge. I can get through like 1 or 2 colors per night before I'm just like, this is starting to feel tedious, even though it's pretty mindless. It's not as mindless as the granny stripe part because you have to crochet into each individual stitch. So I still have to not really pay attention, but I can't look up and watch TV as much as I would have with just the granny stripe part. So anyway, this is coming along. I do think once I'm done with it, I'm going to put it aside or like keep it in the linen closet until we are done renovating our living room. We've been painting and we have new flooring coming. So we'll also be getting new furniture for that room. So once that is done, I'm gonna pull this blanket out and use it either over the new sofa or over a chair that I plan on using in that room. But I figured new blanket deserves a new room, or a new room deserves a new blanket, maybe. Anyway, last thing that I wanted to show you was this is the last little bit of some La Bien-Aimée in the snow colorway, I think. I'm gonna do just either a single crochet or a slip stitch edge around the whole thing once I'm done, because I just think that will frame these colors nicely. All right, so flat ironed my hair today, but it's been kind of raining on and off, so it still feels pretty poofy. Anyway, I did start spinning a bat that I bought a couple months ago. I haven't gotten very far on it. Like I've maybe spun an ounce off of it, or not even an ounce, like a couple of grams. It is from Feisty Fen Fiber and it is called Opal Porthole. And it's based off of that picture there. So it's a really close interpretation to the picture. but I feel like the picture on Etsy looked a little different than the bat that I received. So I can't put my finger on it, but I'm just not like, I don't hate this color combination, but I don't love it either. I was gonna try woolen spinning with it since it's in a bat, but it just, I don't know. That's not what I wanted for spinning. So I just went to my default short forward worsted spinning, and that's just what I'm gonna do with it. Yeah, so it does have some fibers that I've not worked with. It's merino top, bamboo, and banana silk. So the bamboo and banana silk are new for me. It is what it is. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself and to just enjoy what I'm making and not feel like I have to do certain things right now. That being said, I did start a new knitting adjacent craft. I showed you guys that stitch marker from Hannah of Corner of Craft, and I've wanted to learn to do the bead weaving for a while now. A, so that I can make my own stitch markers. B, it looks like a nice tactile craft because it does involve like hand sewing essentially. And C, I just have to know how things are done. I'm the type of person that if I see something, I need to reverse engineer it and figure out how it's done. So I bought all of the supplies that I needed to do the bead weaving. So I wound up buying the supplies to start bead weaving, and I fell down that crafty rabbit hole. I've had a bit of craft ADD here lately, but this has really been kind of satisfying in that you get a bit of instant gratification with it. So the first little thingy that I made, these will be stitch markers eventually. I'm waiting on jump rings to come in. I have the clasps, just not the jump rings. This is a pattern by Beater Sweet Symphony. That's their Etsy store. And it is this cute little skinny yarn. And I made another one in pinks, which I should have used a different color or two more contrasting colors on that. They just look way too similar. And then I made some cacti. These are from Ania's patterns on Etsy. I think that is adorable. And Naomi requested this pattern, so she'll be getting this one. And I don't know if I've mentioned, Naomi is my sister. She's the yarn curator. She has her own podcast. I have to go through my little spiel. So after I did those, it's pretty easy-ish to kind of make your own pattern because it's kind of like a grid. It's a brick grid, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make a little like gemstone pattern. And then I also wanted to make an evil eye motif. So this is specifically one that me and Naomi wanted. I may still tweak a few things on this one, but this is my own design. And then I found this pattern on Pinterest. I don't remember where it came from. I want to say it was like a French crafty kind of site. Anyway, I didn't realize it was so big when I started it, but this is more of like a necklace pendant size. So I think what I'll do is make a second one and make my nieces some necklaces and send them some happy mail. So yeah, my brain really enjoyed the process of learning a new craft. And again, I think a lot of it is the instant gratification thing going on here. So I do want to carry those in my Etsy shop. I will get there eventually. I think that I'm finally getting to the point where I can make them sort of fast enough and of a good enough quality that I feel good enough about putting my name on them for a product. So yeah, keep your eye out for that, and I will let you guys know when they are available. I think that is everything that I have to share with you guys as far as crafting and making goes. Other than that, I've just kind of been enjoying having my house back to myself for a little bit. I've turned into a really huge bird nerd lately. Watching the birds at the bird feeder and in the bird baths coming to the backyard. We had a chipmunk in the backyard yesterday and it was super adorable. So yeah, I've got some footage to pop in at the end. Apologies if you're not into birds. But it's just been fun to like learn what birds are what coming into the backyard and starting to identify them. We also had a family of bluebirds living in a little house that the former homeowner had in the backyard, and I had a lot of fun watching the mother and father come back and forth, bringing them food and taking out their poop sacks. Fun fact. And yeah, the little babies flew away a couple days ago. I missed it, but I kind of put 2 and 2 together when I stopped seeing the parents coming back and forth to the nest. So other than that, have been dealing with a semi-sick kitty. Oliver is having some teeth problem now, so we went through all of this with Revan back in January. I think Oliver is also going to need to have a couple of teeth taken out, probably the same one that Revan had taken out. So gonna be back and forth to the vet in the next week or 2 with him. And yeah, my parents are coming. They decided, I guess, that they had enough and they wanted to go socially isolate in the RV. So they will be staying at a campground near here. They'll be here this weekend. So getting ready to actually socialize with people again, like in person, even if it is 6 feet away from each other. That'll be nice. So I know my mom wants to dye some yarn, and it'll be Mother's Day, so we'll get to spend a little bit of time together. I do have yarn for the shop. I just haven't, with my kitchen being used for 3 meals a day, I haven't felt like I had the time to take over the kitchen for a day or 2 with dyeing yarn. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get into that now that Jason's back at work, and hopefully when things kind of settle down in the next day or 2. So that's about it. I'm just rambling at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that your knitting is keeping you happy and sane and everybody is safe and healthy. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, all that jazz.